With labour shortages, higher material costs, and ongoing supply chain issues, could 3D printed homes be the way of the future? One world leading Australian company is driving the push, and CEO of Luyten 3D Concrete Printing Ahmed Mahil joins me now. Ahmed, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Firstly, what's the cost of a 3D printed home compared to a traditional built house?
Thank you, Christy, for having me. Good afternoon to you. The cost can be from 30% cheaper to all the way to 60%, depending on how high end you want that house. And the reason for that is that we brought automation. We brought a robot to deal with an unnecessary long list of materials that we use to build just a simple wall. Over there, you see that's the first ever 3D printed house in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia, the heptapod, and that actually broke the barrier to the code of compliance. This is a very structurally sound unit that we built, and it was at the infancy of the company. Right now, and I'm not sure if you got the footage, but we have built the largest 3D printer in the world that can do the whole house in one go. Now that's a smaller model that we did. And then there is the Platypus X12 printer that can, first it's a self-propelled printer, goes on wheels, and therefore we can get those amazing savings. So it becomes, first, it gives power to the consumer to choose the looks of the house, the shapes, there is no constraints with design, there's more flexibility. But more importantly, it gives the builder more economic feasibility. And of course, that will help address the issue of supply, which is a big issue right now if you got to wait for a house for a long time. Now with these technologies, just like how automation did in many other sectors, it can reduce that time to a matter of days, rather than months, and yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned, it does reduce the time being built. How simple is the 3D printing process? What is the average time frame, say, to build a standard home?
Well, it depends on the size of the house, of course, but let's talk about 200 square meter house. You're talking about a matter of 3 days to set up the walls of the house. And which is the shell, inside and outside walls. And then from there on, it's a matter, it makes the job of the other tradesmen way easier. It's a plug and play from there on. They don't have to figure out a lot of things, where to drill, where to cut, find a stud finder, because everything is digitized. It's a computer script. The house blueprint becomes a computer script. And that changes the game fundamentally.
And is there a limit on the size of home you can produce? How big can it go?
At this stage, our company, we're a robotics company. So the largest robot, which is the one behind me, and hopefully you guys can get it on the reel soon, or check our YouTube channel. It can go 6 meter high and 12 meter wide. It's modular. It can further go to 9 meter high and then 14 meter wide. And that will help get the house in a simple number of prints, if you will. Yeah.
And do you think that this is something that more home building companies will adopt or should adopt in the future?
Well, we kind of came when it's the perfect storm. We've had now formed a partnership with a company called FormX, and as part of Eureka, they have developed about 580 houses last year, and they've taken those on board. And since then, we've seen many others come because they can see the economics of this, the benefit of this 3D printing method. When it comes to housing, it makes it more economically feasible, the time, and more importantly, you got to give your consumers that extra option. If they want to change something, it doesn't cost more.
It's certainly a very interesting concept. Ahmed, thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Christy. Appreciate it. Have a good one.